Good morning, boys and girls. So, yesterday, last time we read, we completed part one of Because of Mr. Turrup. And where we left last was in the month of February. And all we really know is something happened to Mr. Turrup because we heard the last thing, please let my teacher be okay. And Danielle saying, it's Danielle down here, Mr. Turrup needs you. And that was a prayer to God. So we are now in the month of March, and let's see what the deal is with Mr. Turrup and what actually happened. All right. We are on to Jessica, which means Act 9, Scene 1. It's been a few weeks since Mr. Turrup went into a coma. A coma is when someone gets really hurt and they're almost like asleep for a long, long, long time, and obviously in the hospital. I felt numb when I first heard. My mother got a phone call on the night it happened from Mrs. Williams. The principal was calling all the parents. Mom hung up the phone and explained his situation. I sat paralyzed, unable to move or speak. It was the second time in less than a year that I was in disbelief. The first time was when Mom told me about Dad and his girlfriend. The day after the accident, our class had a substitute. I don't remember her name. I only remember our classroom being silent. We were given some silly worksheets to keep us busy, but no one could concentrate, not even Luke. Instead, we stared blankly at the papers or out the window. Each of us lost in an ocean of thoughts and a roller coaster of emotions. Mrs. Williams came into our classroom later that morning. Boys and girls, I came up here to talk to you about Mr. Turrup, she said from the front of the room. I want you to know the truth and not some rumor that might be floating around. Mr. Turrup is in a coma, which means he's not conscious. That wasn't all Mrs. Williams said, but that's all I remember. I already knew the truth, but I wasn't ready to hear her or anyone else talk about it so freely. I knew about comas. People don't always wake up from them. It wasn't fair. I needed comfort. I wanted to read Bridge to Terabithia and Missing May. I wanted to be in the company of Jesse Aarons and Summer and Uncle Ob. Before Mrs. Williams finished, I did hear one thing she said. She claimed that the snowball incident was an accident, not anyone's fault. I sure didn't believe that, and I know my classmates didn't believe it either. I wondered if Mrs. Williams thought that Mr. Turrup had let things go too far, and if she did, would he be getting in trouble? I sure hope not. He'd been dealt enough already. Besides, Mrs. Williams was the one who gave us special permission to go outside. We could blame her, but I didn't want to see anyone get in trouble. I just wanted Mr. Turrup to wake up and fix this mess. All right, now we're on to Luke. I wanted to go and see Mr. Turrup. My mom and dad didn't think it was a good idea, but I wouldn't listen. I didn't stop pestering them about it. I needed to go. Eventually, they gave in. I stepped off the hospital elevator and stared down the long hall. Mr. Turrup was in one of those rooms. Nurses moved around behind some desks. I heard some of them laughing. How could they laugh? How could they laugh when my teacher was in a coma? They grew quiet as I walked past. I felt some of them look at me and my mom, but I just kept walking until I saw the name on the door. Turrup. Room 404, palindrome, just like our classroom. I stopped and took a deep breath. I felt Mom's hand on my shoulder, and I walked in. I saw him on his back, perfectly still in his bed. Tubes poked into his arms. A mask covered his face. Machines beeped. His eyes stayed closed. He didn't move, not an inch. Only his chest rose up, then fell down with each frail breath. I wanted to say something. I wanted to tell Mr. Turrup I was there. I wanted to tell him he was going to be okay. I wanted to, but I couldn't. I tried, and I felt a lump in my throat begin to choke me. I didn't want to cry. I told myself not to cry. I had coached myself not to cry, but I couldn't stop it. Tears welled up in my eyes and fell down my cheeks. I turned and ran out of the room. Mr. Turrup was going to die, and I just knew it. I saw him. I saw what he looked like. He was going to die. My teacher was going to die. The elevator doors opened, and I stepped in, my mom right behind me. How could he have let this happen? Why did he put so much trust in us? He should have learned from my plant concoction. He knew it probably wasn't a good idea, but he let me do it anyway. Just like he knew our rough play outside probably wasn't a good idea, but he let it go again. He should have yelled at us. He should have yelled at Peter for the frisbee. He should have yelled at me for the puddle of water. He should have yelled so that we knew he was serious, and this never would have happened. He should have stopped us. Now he was going to die. We stepped off the elevator and walked up to our car. As he pulled away, I saw hospital written on a sign. Mr. Turrup slept in the hospital. Dollar worth. I almost smiled. Now we're going to do one more, quick one on Jeffrey. Okay? Remember, he's the guy with the secret. Turrup's in a coma. I know what that's all about. I remember from when I was little. Comas are terrifying. I'm never going back to a hospital. These places are full of bad memories and bad luck. I'd like to see Turrup, but I can't visit him. I can't do it. Luke told me it was scary. I know people in comas die. I should have been in that coma, not Michael. I should have been in that coma, not Turrup. Peter's snowball should have hit me. Now our teacher is going to die. This stinks. School stinks. Everything stinks. It was better when I just didn't care. All right. And the next one that we do next time is going to be on Anna. All right. I want you to think a little bit about the turning point in the book that we have just as we started part 2. All right. Take care.